uploaded a video on my TikTok account where my husband was defending our parenting style with my mother-in-law. He wasn't arguing with her, he was just explaining to her when she was trying to punish one of our twins for not listening. That TikTok went viral, and since then I've been getting a lot of DMs on my Instagram account, Impact Club, by the way, follow me there. How do you deal with unsupportive relatives? How do I have that hard conversation with my mom, my mother-in-law, even my husband about different parenting styles? Today, I'm going to tell you how I handled that, how my husband and I handled that with our own relatives. My name is Marcela Collier. I'm a parenting coach from Impact Club. If gentle parenting with understanding is something that you want to learn more, this is the channel. I encourage you to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell. Every week I release a new video on parenting with understanding. When do you have those tough conversations with your relatives? Okay, so when it comes to this, it is best at a cold time. Cold time meaning not when the kid is in the behavior, when you're trying to help your child. At that moment you set boundaries. I handle it, don't worry, I'll go and take care of it. But you don't really have the conversation there because there are feelings involved. You are a little bit anxious about trying to help your child, and your relative might have feelings around it as well. If he or she thinks that your child is just trying to be disrespectful or he's testing limits, at that time there are a lot of feelings. So choose a cold time when everybody's happy, everybody's in a good mood. You could talk about it, not as like, okay, we need to have a conversation, let's sit down, because then in their mind they start getting a little defensive. But you don't have to have the whole conversation at once. With my relatives, I went little by little. And it started more as not judging what they think, but more as describing what parenting with understanding is and why we believe in it, more about introducing them to the philosophy of parenting with understanding. They might have questions, and that's okay. You could answer the questions. I answer my mother-in-law's questions all the time. However, there is a fine line between answering questions and starting an argument. So you just have to know what is your relative's intention when he or she is asking the questions. Is she really, truly, genuinely trying to understand my parenting style, or he or she is just looking for a way to get in an argument with me? If it is the second one, then cut the conversation there, and then you can even say establish the boundary. We can continue with the topic a little bit later, or we can continue with the topic tomorrow and change the conversation and come back to it once you see that they're de-escalated again. I'm not saying that you're parenting your relatives, you're just trying to establish healthy communication pathways with them so your message doesn't get lost in translation, so your message doesn't get lost in an argument. Because if there is already a lot of feelings and an argument, then they're going to see you as you against them, and then anything that you say after that is going to be lost. What do you do when they try to intervene during your child's tantrums or behaviors and say things that don't align with your parenting style? Yesterday I was in a call, and then on the back I heard my mother-in-law telling one of the twins, if I could, I would spank you. If I could, I would give you a pow pow. And then Miguel looked at her and then said, what is spanking me? What is a pow pow? Because I don't use that. I don't give him pow pows, I don't spank him, I don't put him in timeouts, I don't take things away as a punishment, I don't punish my children. So they don't know those terms. And then she started explaining to him what that means. That's when I have to hang up, I need to go and help the situation. My intention wasn't to confront her, my mother-in-law. My intention was to rescue my children first and to reestablish some boundaries. I could tell that my mother-in-law was not escalated, she wasn't upset, she was just on the table. So I saw that maybe it was a good time to have a conversation with her. Instead of judging her and telling her, you don't say that to my children. No, I wanted to say that, but I didn't say it. Instead of that, I came from an understanding perspective. Okay, what happened? She didn't feel threatened, so she told me what happened. She said, yes, they were not sharing. Santiago was playing with a yo-yo, and Miguel wanted his turn, and Santiago wasn't giving him his turn. Okay, I understand. So before I went on talking about spanking, I wanted her to understand what the situation was and how I would approach it from parenting with understanding. Whose yo-yos is that? Santiago's yo-yos. I said, okay, would you ever want to share everything you have? Do you have some things that you don't ever want to share? Yes, I do. I said, okay, we all have things that we don't want to share. But it is important to learn how to share. I said, yes, it is important. At the same time, it is important as well to know that you have ownership and that you have control over your things. And then she was like, okay, so what do I do in that case? Very easy. The way that we take turns in the world. One, Miguel should have asked Santi, can I play with the yo-yo and when? And Santi had all the right to say no because it was his yo-yo, or to say yes, but when he was done, to pass it on to Miguel. She was like, okay. That way, she starts to see behavior as the communication of a need and not as misbehavior. Instead of attacking her parenting strategies, I started talking to her from the root beliefs of what parenting with understanding is. And then I said, don't worry, next time if you see a conflict, just call me. I'm always close by. And if they're not being safe, let's just say Santiago is hitting Miguel and I'm not right there. Yeah, separate them, ensure safety, but when it comes to discipline, you can call me and you can call my husband. So one, I explained the situation and I helped her understand from understanding what happened. And two, I reestablished the boundary. That's all. How do I convince her of parenting with understanding? My goal is not to convince her. She's 75 years old. At that point, I think it might be really, really hard for her to change her heart of how she perceives parenting. She's been parenting for 44 years. Yeah, my husband is 44, but you never stop being a mother. So she's been a mother for 44 years, and it's really hard for her to understand. So my goal is not to make her understand. My goal is to educate her as much as she allows me. If she doesn't want to hear about it, I'm not gonna push my beliefs into her. And two, to establish boundaries. Have you had similar situations with your relatives? And I know I always talk about my mother-in-law, what about my mom and other relatives? They're the same. I just don't mention them as much just because they don't live in Phoenix. She's the only one that lives in Phoenix. And by the way, I love her. She respects my husband and I's parenting style. She doesn't understand it, but she respects. Every time I reset a boundary, she follows it, which I highly appreciated. It would be way harder if she didn't. Now, if you're saying, I really want to raise my children from this perspective, from understanding, but one, I don't have all the skills, I don't have all the tools, so I don't know how to defend it that well with my husband or with my mother-in-law, other relatives, and as well, they look at me and it's hard for me because I don't have all the skills, so they see me as permissive. They see me as the kids are just walking over me. What do I do? The key is parenting education. I gained the confidence of parenting with understanding and gentle parenting when I gained the skills to do this effectively. If you want to start, you can do it today. All my digital guides, workshops, and the Parenting with Understanding program are available. The link is in my description down below. Go there and start parenting your children from understanding and with the right skills. Now, what about your husband? Is your husband supportive of your parenting style? If he is not supportive and you don't know how to talk to him, I created a whole video about this. It is this one right here, how to communicate with an unsupportive husband. Okay? Keep parenting your children with understanding, and I'll see you next time. Bye!